right, y'all. Honestly, I was not sure where. Mic check, by the way. Let me know how the audio sounds on the chat's live stream end, and let me know. We've had some technical difficulties in the past. We'll get them fixed. We'll get it corrected, but I can't do that if y'all don't communicate with me. So I wasn't sure what I was gonna call or title this episode. Thank you for clarifying on that one, Stanford. Okay, I wasn't sure what I was gonna call it. I didn't know how I wanted to approach, I guess, promoting it, because out of just respect for certain individuals, it's kind of there's some difficult conversations that need to be had. You clicked on the thumbnail, you saw it. So that should speak for itself. We're going to have a brief discussion on that topic right there. Okay. But I settled on the Country Club Cowboys because this is a narrative that's not new. The special guest that you guys are going to be blessed with today, he and I talked about this on numerous different occasions a year ago, or a season ago, I should say. 2023, Dallas Cowboys struggled with the same problem, beginning with the Buffalo blueprint. And so, yes, in some senses, it has been rinse, repeat, copy, paste. Okay, the Shanahan tree we talked about. Hey, hold now, be careful. Let's see. This would be the ultimate test. This being the New Orleans Saints. We were going to find out a lot about our run defense, about our team, about the physicality. Okay. On paper, it was very easy to get excited, and my number one MO all offseason was not harder to be better stopping the run, not harder to be better running the football. After week one, it looked promising, at least in one of those departments, the defensive side of the ball. Mike Zimmer. Body types like Linval Joseph and Jordan Phillips. It turns out that we're still wrong, at least for right now. It's still early, but on both of those fronts, okay? The most one-dimensional football team in football a year ago is still currently the most one-dimensional playoff caliber football team in the league today. All right, and that's until further notice. So how do we solve that? That's exactly what we're going to talk about, and beginning with Jordan Phillips, who was placed on IR, okay? And all I will say is if you haven't heard or seen this, the interactions or the direct quotations surrounding this situation here, just look it up, because I think it's pretty telling, okay? You have a team who is designating a player to injured reserve, meaning he's missing 4 weeks with a wrist injury, and then you have a player who says that he's not injured. You can do with that information what you will, all right? But to me, it speaks for itself. All right, it speaks volumes. Because when you turn on this film, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for you guys right now, it's it's tough to watch, because you just see, and my whole thing is I'm tweeting this out live, physicality, and Nick's going to touch on this too. I want to get his thoughts on this. Physicality and toughness in this sport are a choice. Stanford Brown is seeing what I'm seeing and what honestly a lot of people are seeing right now. Okay. And that's coming from the guy who I did a personal project over when we signed him, because of the physicality and the tenacity that I thought that he played with, right? All it took was one Twitter search, and you see a video of a dude that's 6'6", 320 pounds, trying to just wanting all the smoke with all the Philly fans in Philadelphia. This is back when he played with the Buffalo Bills. I didn't see a guy that got moved around the way that he did last year when I was watching some of the tape on him and listening to other people break down what they were seeing as well. People that know a lot better about than I do on the X's and O's part of this sport. Same thing with Linval Joseph. Now, he's ready, and I'm ready for y'all to hear him. Not my guy, your guy, Nix, the special guest tonight. We're going to get him on here in just a few minutes. I'm just finished getting a few things off my chest here before I let him have the floor. Physicality and toughness are a choice. All right. And when you watch the Saints game, which you are about to see in about or approximately 10 seconds, you can clearly see that the Cowboys chose the easy way out. Okay. And this is just the beginning of the game. I'm running it from the top here. They matched the Saints' energy on the first couple plays. You can see the defense, the linebackers in particular, flying around. But even on that first play right there, yes, Mozzie Smith is double teamed, but he's moving back 5-6 yards instantly. All right. And he wasn't the worst performer in terms of big, physical, tough, hold your ground so we can flow. The things that we thought we were going to see significant improvement on under Mike Zimmer. Now, to me, this was much more a personnel issue, a lack of want to, and you sort of saw the deep breath, sigh, moping around energy of here we go again. A team that knows that it doesn't have the ability to play one-dimensionally, play multi-dimensionally and from behind, from a deficit. A team that relied solely on their quarterback a year ago to build a lead so that the defense could do what the defense did best. Really the only thing that it did well last year, which was stop the other team from passing the football. Stop the pass. Right? So the low hanging fruit was all offseason. And once again, the MO. Not harder for the Cowboys to be better running the football, not harder for the Cowboys to be better stopping the run. And so far, those two things, we have not seen those things get up to speed yet. Seeing my guy, CFO Sports, Jay Tuck in the house. Appreciate you being here, man. Sadiqa's in the house. Hello. Got Gregory up in here. TC915, Eric Mendoza. Sadiqa, once again, Lando, what does she say? I'm one of your new subs. I've seen you on Ray Ray's podcast with TP and Law Nation. I want to also say good luck on your channel. Thank you very much, Sadiqa. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you, ma'am. So Carlos Watkins is the replacement. You guys should be familiar with him. A guy that does, he's shown a lot of toughness in the interior defensive line position, playing the run. Does have the ability to eat up blocks. At least he did the last time I saw him play here. Okay, signed him off the practice squad from, was it the Commanders? I think he comes over from Washington. He was poached, so we'll see if he can bring what he still has left in the tank. Okay, now first and foremost, let's also go ahead and credit the Clint Kubiak offense, because they watched the Cowboys. And starting up front and in the middle, Linval Joseph and Jordan Phillips and Mozzie Smith, that rotation of guys alongside Oso Odigizua, and then the linebackers just being physical and flowing downhill, equally as fast and physical. To me, it makes a lot of sense now in hindsight with a team that is as play action heavy, as motion heavy, as shallow cross heavy, as condensed formation heavy. Just the easy buttons of offense, right? As the Saints are, it makes a lot of sense to force a guy like Linval Joseph, who, that's a tough guy to move if you're just trying to run between the tackles. All right. But if you're getting him, or if you're flowing both directions and you're marrying the flow of the run game to your passing game with the play action boots and all that other stuff, just play action pass in general, you make it very difficult on a guy who, cannot be, he's hard to displace, but it's even harder for him to move. So it's just brilliant knowing that if they can just get to that outside shoulder of whichever direction the Saints are trying to go, and they damn sure did, right? Knowing that if they can do that, it's a wrap, because they're comboing and they're climbing, and our linebackers just had zero chance. They had no shot at being able to hunt, flow, and pursue the way that they did the week prior, because it wasn't really an offense or an offensive line, and in the case of the Browns, trying to get the defensive interior for the Cowboys on the move. So brilliant job, well done on behalf of Clint Kubiak. 150 people in this chat right now. Appreciate y'all being here. Please hit that like button for me. And the special treat is about to get brought up and drop some even some more knowledge. It's been a long overdue process since we officially parted ways with PSF this past season, but I'm excited to hear what he has to say, because to be completely honest and candid with y'all, this will be my first time hearing him speak on his thoughts and his takeaways from the first 2 weeks of the season so far too. But that's my dude right there. I've watched him from afar for a very long time. He's the reason why we, it just felt like fate for me to join the PSF family last year, because he popped up. He was the first face that I saw. And I was like, okay, that's my sign. Because as much respect as I have for that dude, for me to just kind of be left in the dark about what I was getting myself into, and to see him, the first face that I see pop up right in the middle of the screen. And then on top of that, and I cannot make this up, y'all, we sent each other the same exact message at the same exact time. Like I have the screenshots to prove it. And so I knew it was meant to be, but just like the quote unquote country club Cowboys, okay, I have a lot of questions. I'm sure he has a lot of questions. And I know 176 people in the chat right now probably have equally as much, if not more. I believe that this offense is in trouble. And I don't believe that they are. I know that they are. If they don't begin to do some of the things that the best offenses in football, the most physical offenses in football, are proving or showing you what to do. Okay. When you watch the Cowboys play football, you can find tells. Okay. And it's not 100%, but the tendencies are drastic. The passing game and the running game in week 1, if you see motion before the ball or at snap, they're going to be throwing it. If you don't see motion before or at the snap, good chance they're going to be running it. Okay. And then those numbers statistically got even worse. And the total, let me make sure I get the motion percentage right here. The total motion in week 1, 70.31% pass and run combined. All right. And there can be some, there's deliberation from people with different backgrounds and perspectives on how effective that is in the National Football League. Just motion in general. Is it actually doing anything for you in the running game? It absolutely is in the passing game. These are things that should be obvious, but for those who are new here, because clearly there's a lot of new people, 187 once again, I'm just going to make sure we're all on the same page here in terms of why we call them easy buttons and what those easy buttons do for you as an offense. Motion at the snap, okay? It's leverage. It's giving the quarterback tells as far as what coverage the defense is running, and it's also forcing communication. Okay? Play action. It's, in some cases, max protect, like what the Saints did. All right? Your quarterback feels more confident about having a clean pocket, so he's less worried about what's happening from his blind side or otherwise. So you get a cleaner pocket, and you also create more space, because if you have an effective run game, you play action off of it like the Saints can and other teams that we're going to see this year, then it makes it easier for your quarterback, because why? The second level, and sometimes even the third level, if they're not disciplined with their eyes, gets drawn in closer to the line of scrimmage, and it creates more space for your playmakers to work. Okay. And then the other component is, it's, to me, misdirection. Like, is any form of eye candy that's kind of flowing opposite of the direction that the football is going. And you see the Saints do that all the time. All right. But just those are the simplest way that I can break it down and unpack it for y'all to really process what's happening and what good offenses are doing in this league. Okay. I would not classify the Cowboys to be a good offense. And that sounds ridiculous to say. Absolutely ridiculous to say, considering they have been one of the top offenses in football for the better part of the last 5 years. But the best offense in football isn't as one-dimensional as we know that they were and as we know that they are. Okay? And also, too, it doesn't hurt that you've got an MVP caliber quarterback that's covering up a lot of your deficiencies in the passing games, and a first-team All-Pro receiver as well. Let's make sure we don't go without mentioning CeeDee Lamb's name. All right. when you're the Cowboys, okay, offensively, they could not run the football. They couldn't run teams out of their too high shell, their zone coverage with a lighter box. They couldn't force them out of that to make things easier on Dak. So instead, he's having to shred through 7, sometimes 8 guys dropping back into coverage. Good luck. Don't make a mistake. It's a vision-based defense. Everybody's breaking on the football. Okay, so teams they say, all right, we don't have to load the box to stop your run because we're not worried about you running it. You don't threaten us with that. So they'll play zone coverage, 2 high safeties. They'll take away the deep pass, which is why people wonder why Brandon Cooks hasn't worked here. That's because the Cowboys can't run the football. Hello. So when you can't force teams out of that, then what they do is exactly what the good, well-coached playoff caliber teams are going to continue doing. They're going to drop back a little bit. They're going to be able to stop the run with 6 guys. And then they're just going to dare you to run the football. But if you can't, then guess what? Good luck moving it through the air. If not CeeDee Lamb and man coverage, even if they wanted to man you up and just blitz, bring in 6, 7. Who's going to win quickly? If not CeeDee Lamb, then who? As of today, this Cowboys roster doesn't have a true number 2 or a number 3 receiver. Do I think Brandon Cooks is good enough to be that? Absolutely. But part of that also, I'm going to get this tweet pulled up and then I'm going to shut up so Nix can hop in and do his thing. Because I told Aisha that I was going to talk about this because we were already on the same page, and the specific project dedicated towards this will be posted later on this week. Right, but we're gonna reference it right here. Maybe if I can find it. I don't know that I can. Y'all enjoy this merry tune while I get this going here. Just take a couple seconds. We are almost there. There we go. See, I knew I'd find it. All right. So here's Aisha's take on the Brandon Cook situation. And we see eye to eye on this one. Make sure y'all can see that. She says, I don't know what needs to be done to get Brandon Cooks going, but it needs to be soon. He is still a threat. I just don't believe the way that he's being used in the passing game is conducive to his strengths. Deep crossers and using him with what? Say it with me, chat. At snap motion. Goes, etc. Please. At snap motion. So that's just kind of where we're at. Those are some simple things that, like I said, I'm going to get deeper into. But without further ado, he's been patient with me. He knows that my lack of punctuality, just in general, especially now that I'm a full-time stay-at-home father of 2. Sometimes, I guess my dog just busted his way. What's up, dude? Just broke into my room. Without further ado, not my guy, your guy, Nix. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear, brother. How we doing?
We are doing well. Okay, and then before I drop your intro music, okay, the last 2 people that I brought in here, this MacBook here with a mind of its own, via StreamYard or otherwise, I don't know who's the culprit here. When I bring on the guest, it switches my audio from my handy dandy XLR that boy right here to the internal microphone and speaker. So, chat, check in. Hello, how do we sound? Is there echo? Any echo in here? Going once, going twice.
Good.
You sound good?
Good on my end.
So with that, and I'm probably going to get copyrighted for this, but that's okay.
hear nothing.
Oh, man, I appreciate you being here, brother. You know the respect that I have for you. If anybody in the chat or watching this video doesn't know who Nix is, that's y'all's fault. Okay. Now, I'm gonna shut up. The floor is yours, my man.
I don't know, man. It's good to get back in here. The after we retired the Lando Nick show on the PSF app. So you hit me early this morning and said, "Hey, what are you doing, guy?" And I said, "Hey, probably not a whole lot of nothing around 8 o'clock," which turned into 9. But I mean,
Hey,
that's par for the course for us. It's par for the course for us at
that's
times for
true.
those that follow us over that realm. So you kind of knew what I was going to be getting into. So no, I'm excited to get it rolling. Man, I tell you the early ebbs and flows of seasons. I would say interesting enough as we were doing this last year, and you were kind of talking about this a little bit before I came on. The
Mhm.
one thing we talked about a whole lot at the end of the day going into that last season and should be more developed this season. Remember, we talked about easy buttons when it came to
Yes.
the West Coast offense, the Texas Coast offense, whatever they want to call it. But there was easy buttons that were or should be right, should be in this passing scheme for a guy like a Brandon Cooks, for instance, so on and so forth. And we didn't get to that really much at all last year, for being honest, right?
Right.
After 5 games, they kind of retooled it. Dak put on the cape, let's go. And Eamon Lamb, and here we went, right? And take us as far as we can. He gave us the MVP type season, so on and so forth. We know how it ended. So then we get to this season. Okay, well, another year with Cooks. And look, Cooks down the stretch, we talked about that. Cooks down the stretch really found a groove in what was
8
going on.
touchdowns.
So we kind of expected that to kind of pick up where it left off. And week 1, I mean, it's a touchdown catch, right? I mean, offense, once they were up, Turbo got the punt. Okay, the punt return for a touchdown. All right, well, let's just not do too much, right? The only way they can win is, right, don't turn the ball over. They can't come back and win. And then we got to last week, and
You tell me.
I mean, look, Ferguson's the number 2 on this team. I said it all off season,
Oh yeah.
and we went through last year. Well, guess what? Your number 2 wasn't there against the Saints, and for all intents and purposes, outside of Lamb, I mean, look, Tober gets 6 catches for 82 yards. It was rough at times. I don't know, like it just looks, for lack of a better term, discombobulated at moments.
There is no real rhyme or reason. And so if my number one MO all off season, Knicks, and ours last year as well, it carried over and it permeated, and it's still permeating as we speak.
Right.
But if number one was not harder, not difficult to be better running the ball, it's not. I know we lost 10
allegedly.
guys in agency,
Allegedly.
Not harder, more difficult to be better.
Right.
Stop the run,
For sure.
allegedly.
For sure.
In theory, hypothetically, number 2 would be, hey, can we have a little bit more motion? Can we have?
Well, look. If we go to week 1 on the road, what was the biggest thing last year? Right, last year we talked about this, and ladies and gentlemen that are here tuned in, we have to compare some things from that where we talk to kind of look at what's going on early because we don't have enough sample size yet, right? So let's kind of compare. The thing last year was at home we saw the motion, on the road we didn't. Remember, it was driving me up a damn wall. And McCarthy said, "Well, we don't want to motion too much or do too much verbal changing at the line, so we don't get into some penalties because of the crowd noise." And I was out here banging the table. I'm like, well, let's do hand signals. I mean, what happened to hand signals? We can't do those anymore. And it was frustrating. Surprisingly, in week 1, though, they not only did they do motion, they would motion 2 times before the snap. And I was like, we have multiple motions prior to the snap on the road. Wait, Dak's being verbal at the line and changing plays. And case in point, right? Going back to the Brandon Cooks touchdown, right? They're coming in with the zero coverage, right? They're blitzing, they're sending everything. Dak sees it, motions the guy in, comes up, makes the changes, bada bing, bada boom, touchdown. I'm like, okay, if we're doing this on the road, this gets me excited for at home, right? Hunter Lidke all over the place and doing things. All right, with Ferguson now, I'm like, oh, we're going to see more Hunter Lidke now. And we saw hardly none of Hunter Lidke. The pre-snap motion was basically, look, I'll say it. It was Kellen Moore. Oh, we're just going to motion to see if you're in man or zone. That's what we're doing. We're just motion to see if you're in man in zone, and then we're going to run the play. It was very maddening for me as I was watching the game at a good friend of mine's house, who happens to be a Saints fan out there in the greater Chandler, Texas area. Ended up with some cake in my face, and we've been doing that for over 10 years. When the Saints and Cowboys get together, winner gets to put cake in the
It's a
face.
low-key rivalry, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
not talked about very much, but
yeah.
with
But
everything
don't get
that
it, man.
happened
Like,
after the devastation of Hurricane Katrina, it brought a lot of Saints fans into the state of Texas, and it really there's like some closet beef, man. Ever since it's pretty cool. I like the dynamic.
But yeah, I just don't understand. We saw what happened in week one. I'm like, well, that should travel and it'd do well for you, and we just didn't. I mean, so I mean that's part of this. The beginning of the structure here is like, okay, where is this team going to be at? McCarthy said, we'll circle back, make the adjustments. He likes to do it around week 5.
Yeah,
I'm more of a let's figure it out quicker than that. But we'll get through the first 4 games to see where it is. But I thought week 1 offensively, we're talking about the offense and what they were doing. I saw a path and what was trying to happen. Week 2, there was not a whole lot of rhyme and reason. And they got to figure out what this committee, each person in the running back committee's role is.
yes,
because I don't think they have a defined thing there either.
Yeah, I mean they clearly don't, and I'm gonna look for a clip. There's a specific formation that I'm sure you can recall. Just if I could try to describe it to you, and I don't want to lose my train of thought, so I'm gonna try to do that here. Let me get back to the actual screen. But with Deuce and Cavante in the backfield at the same time, I guess you call it the split guy.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, there's some potential there. And so I do want to give the Cowboys a little bit of slack. Not actually, I don't want to cut them any slack really, but I just got to be honest and truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Things got so out of hand defensively that whatever they had schemed up for that specific matchup in the running game, and this is another good talking point right here too, that missed block right there. That might be a touchdown if Jalen Brooks hold that edge, yeah, which is another talking point that we'll get to here. I just listed it right there at the bottom of your screen, but they didn't have a chance to even try to have an identity running the ball, right? The Saints were so efficient, so effective, so dominant at a rate almost that I don't know that I've ever seen. Really, it's been a long time. If I have, I guess actually, really, it's been since the playoffs about 7 months ago. But and those two consecutive games there. The first team since the Steelers back in 1968 to give up 44-plus points at home in consecutive home games. So just really a rate that does not often happen, right? And
but I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the only thing about that, though, Lando, right? So, look, the first 3 drives for each team were all scores, right? And then the Cowboys' 4th drive is the slip from Jalen Brooks' interception. So they were obviously in this first 3 drives trying to get out here, run, do some things. You get the big touchdown, obviously, from a hell of a play from CeeDee Lamb on the sideline, double team dips, takes to the house, right? And that was 2 field goal drives before that. There were long drives, though. There were long drives. Obviously, one gets kind of thwarted because as you had the Jalen Brooks miss block there on Cook's end around. So through the first 3 drives, I think some of those things are frustrating to a certain extent because I don't think in those moments they were able to run the ball effectively enough. And then, of course, right, you get the turnover, boom, now it's 28-13. You go down, get another field goal, right? I mean, it got out of hand very quickly. But if the Cowboys are putting up touchdowns at the moment of the interception, it's 21-21. And those are the things that are frustrating. Look, and that's not all the run game. And I'm not saying that, right? I'm just saying early on they had an opportunity to do things in those realms. Going back to you talking about the Tolbert and the Vaughn look, I just think this is where they mismanaged or they thought they were going to get something, I should say, McCarthy and crew, where the game plan missed. Talked about it heavily leading up to this week or up to that game. The Saints blitzed more than anybody else in the league week 1. 15 times they blitzed, primarily off of the slot is what they did.
Yeah, they were basically betting on a second-year quarterback who had a tough go last year, not going to be able to diagnose where the pressures come. That's the simulated pressures and the rolled coverages and the things like just muddying up the read before the ball is ever even snapped, right? Making you have to go through that process post snap and then have to figure out all the other intricacies that go with the quarterback position. Made it impossible. They basically did what they knew they couldn't do to Dak. Because if you blitz Dak Prescott, he's number one in the league.
Right. But that's what McCarthy, that's what that play was set up and designed to do.
Correct.
If we're expecting you to do those things, so whenever you send that corner blitz, we're trying to hit. That's why motion it's over out. So we're going to hit him. We're going to have a numbers game blocking wise, and he's going to be able to get yardage or maybe to the end zone. And then on the other side of that was, if you don't come, now we have the built-in option. It's an RPO basically, right? Let's just call it what it is. They set up our RPO. It was them thinking that they were going to send that slot blitz, that corner blitz, that nickel blitz, right? And Dak, okay, if he comes, you're throwing it. If he's not coming, you're handing it, right? Yes. That's the idea of what it was supposed to be. However, they never got that look from the Saints. They didn't. So, like, I understand the play design and what they were trying to do. The problem was Saints like, but it's Dak Prescott. We're not going to treat him like Bryce Young. We're not going to do those things. So sometimes you get got.
If I know that, though, if we know that, we knew that, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't they?
Good question. A lot of Saints. I did the pre-show or the pregame, the preview of the game Friday with a lot of Saints. A lot of the Saints people thought that they would still blitz at least 10 times. They thought so too, but obviously they didn't.
I will say in the most respectful way that I possibly can. That's a Saints team that was probably more high than they should have been coming off that victory. Now we know there's for sure some credibility behind that now. But that's also sounds to me like some fans who just simply did not look at the numbers. Like Dak Prescott notoriously is a guy that you do not blitz. That you don't, or at least not at the rate even remotely close that's
right
from the week prior. So before we turn the page here, I want on that same play, right? It's kind of ironic how something so bad and so good can happen, but you still get the result that you did. Brevin Spanford, the $500,000 man that the Cowboys signed as an undrafted free agent. He's a rookie. This is why, okay? And it's cool that Ben Larimore is here in the chat. He and I did a pre-draft breakdown. The only one that I do. I usually just try to do one every year, the mock draft before the NFL draft occurs. And he brought Brevin Spanford to my attention. And I had no idea who he was prior to that, but that's why you become friends with people like Ben, because he can help you learn some stuff. And we talked about Brevin, and this is the reason why. Okay, just watch this play right here. What he does to people, what we want him to continue doing to people in the run game. He's the man coming across the formation in motion right here. See him come across your screen. Just follow Brevin Spanford. Maybe. There
Perhaps.
He kind of peels back and then just absolutely deletes that DB right there. Watch it one more time, and then we'll move on. Right, bam. So more of that, please, and thank you. That's my club right there. I'll tell you that much. That's a guy that wants to get nasty, wants to win. And another thing too is why I had the level of optimism that I did for the Cowboys to pick that up, to just getting a little bit more nasties, because that's kind of that's how they addressed the offensive line position in the draft this year.
Sure.
Cooper Beebe, you think about him, he ain't a finesse player. That's a mauler. That's a people mover. Tyler Guyton, people said he was a finesse player before we saw him rep against Micah Parsons when the pads came on at training camp, right? We thought he was going to be, because he's the freak tools, the rare combination of freak tools and athleticism. 6'8", 330, but sweet feet, right? But how nasty is he? What's the hand placement like? What's the play strength like? The power, all those things were some of the talking points as far as this player who was an imperfect prospect. That's why he was the 6th tackle taken off the board last year. But the thing that I tried to reemphasize and highlight on his behalf is the way that he's wired. When you listen to his offensive line coach back at OU, Bill Biedenbaugh, talk about the character and the talent. He said he's the most talented player that he's ever had. That's loud from a guy that's been around people like Creed Humphrey, Orlando Brown Jr. And I'm sure he didn't coach the Lane Johnsons and the Trent Williams of the world, but I'm sure he's been around those dudes as well. So he's got a pretty good feel for what a really good left tackle is in the National Football League, or at least an offensive lineman with the tools to make it work. So you listen to him speak about Tyler Guyton, and then you just listen to the conviction. Or I'm sorry, you listen to the words with the conviction that he couples that with, and the fact that he doesn't hesitate and he doesn't blink when people ask him a question. I think it was Jane Slater who asked him the question, "Hey, have you enjoyed your off season so far? Have you been able to go take a vacation?" He's like, "No." "What you mean? I've been working. I've been with the Mr. Miyagi of offensive line coaching, the OL mastermind himself, Duke Manyweather." And for Cowboys fans who don't know, I've heard Voch say this before too, and I'll just take that from him because his relationship with Duke. If you don't know who Duke Manyweather is, I'll put that in the chat real quick here too. Google him, please. And if you want to continue to see Cowboys offensive linemen develop at a rate that feels as if it's quicker than any other franchise, or just the ability to take guys and develop them and turn them into first team all pros, even despite Tyler Smith playing the left guard position for the first time in his college and professional life. He's a first team all pro, best in the National Football League. Support Duke Manyweather. I just put it on the bottom of the screen right there for y'all to see.
Funny enough, during this game too, he said 9 of the 10 offensive linemen for both teams starting O-line masterminds.
There you go.
There and get work with them. So yeah, not just Cowboys. They had a lot of work around the league in general. So
widely respected individual. He's starting to do like YouTube. Have you seen any of his YouTube stuff with the guys? It's pretty good.
It's good stuff.
So download if you want to continue to see him support his movement, which in turn, as a byproduct, supports the Cowboys
movement.
yeah. Download the OL
Masterminds app.
Masterminds. I'm gonna put that.
He said we get enough subs, he'll just come coach the Cowboys. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Say it again.
He said if we get enough subs, he'll just come and be a coach for the Cowboys. FYI.
Did he say that? Hey, run it up then. Y'all heard it here first. Shout out to Duke. So, all right, Nix. I sent you the rundown earlier, right? You know what I'm about to ask you. Let's play the blame game. Scheme or personnel?
Yeah.
Defensively
effort,
versus the
effort, players.
Okay. He says effort, just for anybody who
say effort for sure, but yeah, players. I mean,
the
scheme's a scheme. You gotta. The scheme wasn't a problem.
And I think
why. And I'll say this conversely too, because I see a lot of people talk about it was the Green Bay game all over again.
I saw your tweet.
I think there was some scheme things in the Green Bay game that you could point out, like, hey, this was not good from a schematical standpoint. I don't per se say this was the overarching thing for this game here. So I take it. I looked at the film and just kind of went through it. I just think, look, Micah said, and it talks about it a little bit too, but yeah, I just think, look, you got to execute. You can't get driven 5, 6, 7, 8 pancake 11 yards down the field. Like, you just can't. I don't care what you're calling in those realms. You can't allow those things. No matter if you're getting reached or not. Anchor. You have to anchor. You have to set an edge. In those realms. So to me, and look, y'all know I'm a pro player guy in general, but I think definitely there's. I think the players would look in the mirror or would answer the same thing. Players have to be better. This wasn't a schematic issue for me.
I think Micah already said the same, did he not?
I know he said don't blame Zim or something directly out of the game. You know how it is right after the game and how things go. So, but yeah, to me, this is more player than scheme.
Oh yeah, Sadiqa just alluded to it too. He did say it like yesterday or the day before. It was I forget exactly what the quote was. I'm sure I could find it here if I really wanted to. But okay, so the spin-off question of that is actually I want to just elaborate just a hair, okay? Nick's touched on it as far as the effort, right? And just the ability to not get moved off of or just out of your gap completely, just washed out.
Washed.
Okay. A player that was a body type that you really didn't possess, other than a guy that most people were ready to get rid of 1 year after being a first-round pick, Mozzie Smith. Okay. Jordan Phillips was an addition to that room, a body type that you didn't have, that actually had tenure and let's just call it an adequate resume in the National Football League. Okay. The Cowboys traded him, traded for him for the right to acquire his services. Okay. Literal draft capital in exchange for a guy to come in at a position that you didn't have. 2 weeks into the season, there's conspiracies around why he's placed on IR. So ask
I
yourself,
know why.
right. And I'm trying to be respectful about it, but ask yourself why that is. Okay. That's what Nix is trying to tell you here. Mike Zimmer doesn't dictate who does or does not get moved and completely washed out of the run fit. Once again, brilliant game plan and even more excellent execution on the behalf of the New Orleans Saints, who just so far they look like they're moving mountains in the run game. It's pretty impressive.
You know what else they did too really well?
But he also can't control Rashid Shaheed from just splitting two high safety coverage and just running, basically running a 100-yard dash up the field for a touchdown. But I'm sorry, continue.
No, I was going to say something they did really well too. They had a plan for DeMarcus Lawrence. When you look at it and get after it, they had a plan and understanding what he means and what he does in the run game. They had a plan, different looks that they gave him, not just not taking a guy and we're just going to chip you or whatever. No, there was multiple things, shoving inside, having the inside guy come over, like almost bracketed him at times. If you think about bracket coverage on defense, right? But they were like the offensive line themselves were bracketed and making sure he just could not get to the outside. Was really good. And also too, look, obviously made the trade for Phillips. You got Linval Joseph, and he was getting washed with his big behind too.
Yes, no question.
It is what it is. I'll touch on Phillips, or if you're ready to go there yet, just let me know.
Oh no, please, yeah, the floor. Seriously, nothing is off limits here.
Sure. Oh, let's be clear. Basically, what happened with not Linval Joseph, excuse me, Jordan Phillips.
Yep.
Zimmer said, "You're going to timeout."
So here's a case in point. Go
to the corner.
Look, literally this last play. Let me hit the P.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hit the P one more time.
Pushing P over there. I see you.
Pushing P. I think this is the it just happened. Look at this.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
We are not making this up.
It's a unique look. These guys and how they were getting pushed down the field
98
is very unique in the fact like you just don't see this on the NFL level.
Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. You just don't see it on this level. I'm sorry. You just don't. It was very mind-boggling to me seeing these guys and how they were getting handled and pushed off the way that they were. More so because
this play is worse, man. I mean, this is 2 plays in a row.
Yeah.
I didn't script this here. This is the film. This is NFL Pro. This is the game film in chronological order. 2 plays in a row. He was a good player, man, last year. What happened?
I mean, here's the struggle part, right? Because last week against what we consider to be they didn't have the left tackle in Cleveland, but they wasn't getting washed like this in Cleveland.
No, not even close.
By any stretch. Not even close.
It was less of a stretch run game approach.
Right.
And they obviously don't have the quarterback as competent.
But they were getting reached. I mean, you'll see it off the look. Boom, late reached. Boom, gone. Second level. Sorry, Overshown. the executed, man. We were slower off the ball. They were getting reached blocked very quickly in that stretch. But I mean, and then the play that probably absolutely unequivocally sent Zimmer over the edge for Jordan Phillips was once he got past the offensive lineman. This is the touchdown pass to the tight end that got called back, though. He gets past the offensive lineman, and he can go attack and go and chase Carr. Instead, he stops, turns around the other direction, and goes back and blasts the offensive lineman again.
I saw that. That was towards the beginning of the game, yeah.
I was like, what are we even doing here? That serves you no purpose. That does nothing for you. And I'm sure that probably sent Zimmer over the edge. So for me, Zimmer basically said, this is not good enough. Zimmer said, hey, I will fix it. Another way you can fix it is you have to rotate and do some things. A guy that's not giving you the effort that's been talked about all week, So you go get a guy off of a special practice squad. You got to have him on your roster for 3 weeks. When you get someone from a practice squad, they come to your active roster. Well, buddy, you have a wrist injury. No, I don't. Yeah, you do. You had to the way you played. Go sit over there and think about it for 3 weeks. And also the thing with the Watkins is he is a high effort guy. We know that because we've had him here before and what he does. He is a high effort guy. So whenever you can bring somebody on, doesn't mean maybe they're more talented or whatever that case may be. What it does mean simply is I know he's going to bring the effort, and that should permeate throughout the team. It should in that realm. And when he's practicing at that effort level, right, that permeates, those things happen. So I understand the move. I understand that Jordan Phillips is, obviously a little frustrated about what happened. He said, like, my wrist ain't hurt.
Yeah.
But
and I feel for him, man. He's been a good player.
I
hope he gets right, but we have to be honest about the situation. Yes.
And Zimmer said, look, and for all intents and purposes, Zimmer's sending a message to the rest of the team.
Which is what we're going to
have to play. Yeah. You're going to have to play a certain way or you're not going to play. This is for everyone that always bangs the table about Jimmy Johnson will be out here cutting people in his day. Okay, well, that's not the NFL anymore. This is about as close as you can get, though. This is about as close as you can get to Jimmy Johnson cutting someone. This is the 2K24 version of that, of what you saw happen to Phillips today, and then bringing Carlos Watkins over.
And I would go so far to say is it's really the capital invested, right? It's not that they signed him off the streets; they actually traded for his services, right?
They swapped. Because of this game, he had to play 2 games on the 46. So now the Giants get a 6, and then we get their 7. So we swap a 6 and a 7 now because he was active the last 2 weeks.
Yep. So had that not happened. Let's just say that maybe he still wouldn't be here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, I don't remember the numbers. Honestly, I'm trying to forget them.
Fair.
Pretty much the best way to understand. The best way to understand it is, oh boy.
Look, while you're looking for that, but a bit of good news: the Cowboys aren't last in the league in rushing. So there's that.
Are they not? Who's last right now?
They're not. I think it's the Raiders.
Yeah.
The Cowboys now. The Cowboys are a part of the club that doesn't have. There's about 8 or 9 teams that doesn't have 200 yards total rushing. The Cowboys are a part of that club.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're around 24th. I think they're around. No. Yeah, 24th or 25th in the league in rushing. So for what it's worth, I'm just saying a speckle of good news. The Cowboys aren't all the way down there. Unlike the Ravens, who the Ravens have only given up 99 yards total rushing this season.
Yeah, we're going to have some problems. Dak might throw it 50 times on Sunday.
Well, conversely, though, they're last in pass defense, though, yardage-wise. So there's that. I mean,
so that's an interesting dichotomy, right? Texas, for those who aren't aware here, I also cover the Texas Longhorns, and that was one of their issues last year, right? They had 2 first-round caliber run-stopping defensive tackles. And, well, Byron Murphy was more than that, but teams just literally elected not to run on him. So it made average passing offenses and Texas's average passing defense at best look juggernaut and pedestrian in that respective order, because it was just, they had 6 quarterbacks last year throw for 300 plus yards on them. Right. Chicken or the egg type deal. That was the discussion all off. But so neither here nor there. The issues we know for the Cowboys right now, we know what they are. And if you really wanted to be very, very highly specific about the result that we saw on Sunday, you can boil it down to just one thing. The Cowboys defense got blown off the football.
Trenches, funny. No matter what we do here, it always comes back to the trenches, ain't it?
Ain't it? Ain't that something? So how bad was it? Okay, this is not just me being hyperbolic. I'm not just saying this to make us feel better about it. Like, it's very simple. All they got to do is not get blown off the football. Much easier said than done. Hear me when I say that, okay? Don't misconstrue the words here. Now, you seeing what's on the screen, and I'm about to put something else up that's gonna.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going here.
Okay? I got one that's where I can up the ante here.
Yeah. Facts.
And it's going to look something like this. From Cowboys due diligence. Nix, do you mind reading that one for us, please, sir?
Yeah, so for those who are into the PFF kind of thing, the lowest PFF defensive grade interior defensive lineman thus far in the 2024 NFL season, minimum 30 snaps. The absolute number one worst right there is New York Giants, DJ Davidson coming in at 27.1%. 2 through 4, they left off number 5. That's fine, probably because we don't have another defensive tackle that would qualify for this. So Monty Smith coming in at 28.9, Jordan Phillips 29.6, and Linval Joseph coming in at 31.4. But I will say, and this is the crazy part about it, whenever we talked about it earlier, and I said, man, this is a very uniquely, we look at the tape, this is a uniquely bad game because it wasn't as bad week 1. This just solidifies how atrocious this thing was against the Saints week 2, man. Oh.
Bad. I mean, there's not a ton of adjectives that are sufficient, if we're being completely honest. So,
and then here's the other thought, and then it goes back to Zimmer and how does he fix it, right?
Yeah, that was going to be the next question. Perfect segue.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to jump over there. Go ahead.
You got it.
Okay. No, how does he fix it? Well, he started the train. Okay, Jordan, you got to go over here. We're going to get a high effort guy in. That's what's going to happen. Go into timeout. Think about what you did. Come back in 4 weeks. We'll see what's happening there. Then we'll get a high effort guy in here, then Carlos Watkins, and let's see how that can permeate and see what we can do there. I saw a lot of people talk about the Cowboys just getting something off the scrap heap. Go circle the block and see what's available in free agency when it comes to defensive tackle. There's not an answer there.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, there's just not an answer there. So outside, I mean, sure, you can look at practice squads and whatnot. That's fine, and that's what they did, right? As soon as you trade for that guy or you sign that guy to be on your roster for 3 weeks, that's what they've done here. It's just going. Look, if they're, I don't want to be finite, I guess is the word. I think I'll have to look it up, man, on my grammar, whatever, because it is 2 weeks, and we need to see more for sure. This is really, really bad. I just look at it from the standpoint of if they're trying to get somewhere this season, what they're going to have to look at is something before the trade deadline, in my opinion, when it comes to defensive tackle. So I don't know. Carlos Watkins in here. That's great. Let's get this thing rolling. And look, side note, Mozzie leaves with a back tightness today at camp or at practice. What to see how long or how severe that's going to be for him. But, I mean, you don't have the bodies there, right? You got through training camp. You looked at it. You make the trade for Phillips, who, even though he's a bigger body guy, is a 3 tech, more of a pass rusher. You get Linval Joseph. In my opinion, they probably had the Linval Joseph thing set in stone prior. They were just going to sign him later, get him in here and roll. So 2 aging veteran guys to go along with 2 younger guys with Mozzie and Odigizua in a rotation that feel that was going to be good enough. In week 1, it was, right? Week 1, let's be very clear, against Cleveland. Obviously, there was no Nick Chubb there. We understand that they were missing their left tackle, but it was good enough. There wasn't really a whole lot of complaints. And then Saints showed up, and holy cow, this thing looks like the wheels are falling off all of a sudden. What a fun time the first 2 weeks. Rock drums. Justin Rogers is on the practice squad for the Cincinnati Bengals currently, is where he's at. FYI.
Yep.
So yeah, man. Again, you move. They have to make a trade. Like, there's no real way to fix it with what they have. Outside of making the trade.
That was gonna be my question, and that's the cold hard truth about it. So that's ultimately why I came to the conclusion of the title of the thumbnail that I did, that you guys clicked on. You saw it. It said Country Club, right? Because let me get this ticker posted. So just to kind of bring it all together. Can they fix it without outside assets? And to me, there's no way to do it. Now the caveat to that discussion in free
go to a 3-4 all of a sudden.
Well, or I was just going to say, got a couple comp picks. as we get into the middle
Mm-hmm.
of the season, when teams
Mm-hmm.
no longer are, because every team starts the year, all 32, they're like, let's see what we got. Maybe we can win the Super
Right.
Bowl this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully or wrongfully, whatever. But
Yep.
they have that optimism, and that's the way that you should be. Same thing with
Right.
fans, right? People, I always, it drives me insane when people say, "Oh, this is our year." If you're a fan and you don't have optimism and you can't find ways to get excited about your team, then are you even a fan? That's my question to all 32 fan bases who just kind of point the finger at the Cowboys. You hear about it more often because there's more Cowboys fans. And so, yeah,
Right.
sure. I feel like to me, most fans are always excited leading into the season, but for some reason, since there's more Cowboys fans, and I get it, but people just they take exception when the Cowboys get excited for any level of excitement, whether it's DEFCON 1 or 5 or otherwise.
Right.
We're to blame because we're just hopelessly optimistic. Which there are times like right now when it does feel that way. They are hopeless. But so the point is, all right. Let me put a bow on this thing here.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fix it with outside assets unless you give up draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
So
Actual.
does a team figure out, maybe looking at the Giants, maybe looking at the Commanders, 4 or 5
Whiskers.
weeks from now?
Miami.
Yeah, Miami. That's a good one. Calais Campbell. Is that who you're talking about? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I'm with it. Let's flip a fifth round comp pick for somebody. You could do that.
Mm-hmm.
You could.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this team. I know people say that they hate the way that the Joneses operate in free agency. They get desperate enough. Now they'll never flip a first round pick for a player again midseason. I don't think personally, but they get desperate enough. We've seen them toss the Raiders a first round pick for Amari Cooper.
Right.
They just flipped what was it was I guess a conditional late round swap essentially, but they
Right.
traded a day 3 pick for Jordan Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it happen. Yeah, good call out there, Rock Drums. John Ridgway and Justin Rogers, sore subject in this fan base, and rightfully so. But man, you're going to have to trade if you have any shot. But the only other option is to go from country club
Mm-hmm.
to cocky. Bring some swag into the building. And you can't be, when teams walk into Arlington, the spotlight's bigger, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not America's favorite team or America's team, whatever. It's America's favorite team to hate. That's the one that's more accurate.
Sure.
Because like we just had the discussion, 31 fan bases get sick and tired of the fans themselves. And so it permeates, and now everyone hates the team as a result. That's how it works. Teams turn up on us because they know the spotlight's bigger. Ask Kadarius Toney. People probably don't even know who Kadarius Toney is. He's probably he doesn't have a tenure with the Chiefs if it wasn't for his 13 catch for 189 yard and 1 or 2 touchdown performance in primetime on afternoon slate in Dallas 3 years ago. So teams turn up on this team. So as we continue throughout the week, I haven't looked at the Ravens yet. I'm trying to get a member of Ravens flock, one of their content producers, a well-respected and objective member of their content production community, to come on here and break it down with me, because there's going to be subtle nuances that you can't get on fake take television or wherever you find you try to find your breakdowns, right? So I want to get into the weeds. I want to listen to the nuances from someone who's deeply inundated in their situation. But that's a desperate team that's coming into your house now, 0-2.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And teams, as we know, already turn up on this team anyway when they play especially when they're playing at home, but in general. So do I think that it can be fixed? I think it's going to be very, very difficult, if at all. I'm just trying to be honest with myself and with the generous people here who are giving us their evening on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very tough because of where they came from. It's not like this is new, y'all. Okay. This is more than one season now. Okay. So the reason why I'm vocal about it is because I know I've been one. I've been a professional athlete. I know the ego a little bit gets bruised and you can turn up on your own real quick. If it, like I said, I prefaced the show. Physicality and toughness is a mindset. It's a choice. Okay. Can you flip the switch and embody that Mike Zimmer hard nosedness and take it upon yourself to not let anybody slack in your meeting rooms, your position rooms, right?
Mhm.
Can you go the extra mile? Can you flip the switch? And can you go from country club to cocky? From turn down to turn up?
Mhm.
From getting punched to throwing the punches? It's a mindset, right? And
Mhm.
climate controlled environment in there. Star in Frisco, it's awfully nice. 5-star service, red carpet everywhere you go. Everybody cares, right? Because the largest fan base, they care, but then all 31 others care against you. So, like I said, America's favorite team to hate, right? Spotlight's always shining. Can you flip that switch? So it's going to have to be a choice. This Mike Zimmer is not the culprit here, and he is not the victim of what we just saw take place. My opinion. Okay.
Right.
So can you flip that switch? And will they? That remains to be seen. And
I mean, it's going to be tired of getting their ass whooped. I'm sorry if I
yeah,
can cuss
at
on
some
here or not.
point you would
I mean,
think.
this is what it boils down to. Whether it's a Zach Martin, a D Law, Mike's been around here for 3 years. He's caught some of those. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, right? I mean, at a certain point, you just got to be tired of getting your ass whooped. Say that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's it. We're done with that. Now, I think in this particular moment here, obviously, and part of Zimmer coming in here as well was he's very good against the Shanahan scheme, right? Quote unquote.
Yes.
Obviously, wasn't good enough this time. Well, now, dadgummit, the last Shanahan scheme that came in here, whatever, players wise. So, two different schemes. Things didn't go down very well. 90 whatever points it is. The last two times, last two games in
92, I
AT&T.
believe. Yep.
Yeah, and look, so it can't. The players had to want to go do it, man. That's at a certain point, I can only do so much for you as a coach. You got to walk through that door and give the effort and say, not this is enough, not again. And even after last year at the Green Bay, I think it was Wanye Thomas talked about a little bit of just how they drew things up. The window dressing, the easy ones they were pressing was rough for them. I don't know how they solved that puzzle. It's something they have to look at and try to figure out. And Zimmer, he's on a I don't want to call it a short leash, but he's on a short amount of time the way
Yep.
this thing's kind of constructed for this year.
Yep.
So
Contractually
he's got to
speaking.
make sweeping changes as quickly as he can to kind of get things done. But that's going into the Baltimore game, right? Guess what? They don't run that scheme.
Yep.
So that bodes well for this defense and those players there because it's a scheme that they haven't struggled with. So
Yep.
that's a check mark, even though it's a team that's 0-2 that was considered to be, in the thick of things towards the end of the season that really need to get on the board. But unfortunately, the Cowboys themselves, after what just happened, they're licking wounds in. They need to see some things from themselves as this goes in here, which makes this battle more intently. If the Cowboys were 2-0, they were 0-2, right? Then it turns into, even though they're such a good team, you'll have maybe it's a trap game. They're 2-0. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it gets into that lane. But now, though, because of what happened, it's not like Baltimore's going to come here and catch them asleep at the wheel. Like, it's not going to happen, right?
Right.
I do like to say this as well. Man, look, it's the first two games of the season. This thing takes a while.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, whenever you don't get your players playing a lot in preseason and stuff like that, it's a little sloppy early.
Can you say
And
that
we
one
go,
more time, please? That is because
sure.
that is profound, and I need people
Mhm.
to hear it when you say that. Please say that one more
Yeah.
time.
You're not playing your majority of your starters in preseason anymore. So the first couple of weeks takes a little bit of time for things to come together because you're not getting that cohesion that you need. This isn't basketball where, all right, guys, go out there. We got the better players. We're good. Like there's a lot of cohesion that goes into those things, and that's
Feels
not just the Cowboys. Like you're seeing this from teams around the league. We're seeing this from teams around the league. They're trying to get their things together in a cohesive manner and what's going on, and it just takes some time. That's why, as frustrated as I know a lot of people are what happened, and rightfully so. Not that I'm not frustrated. On the same token, though, I'm not. As I told my guy Outlaw yesterday, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet on this defensive tackles, because it was such a uniquely weird way how it works. You just don't see that in the NFL. Now, if I see it again, then I might be ringing the alarm for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
right now, I'm like, okay, let's get
It's
in
a
here. Let's
caution
see what
flag
it is.
for me at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
It's a
facts.
yellow
Right.
flag, like
Yeah,
hold up.
like hey guys, we can't do that. Now it's up to Zimmer. Zimmer said he's going to fix it and get after it, and we'll see. But again, if the next 3 games is going to tell me a lot, honestly, and more so than maybe in years past. 'Cause I like doing it by quarters. When it was 16 games first, second, and there's an extra game now, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm always a 4-quarter guy now. I evaluate and look at it.
Mike
Kind of go from there.
McCarthy sees it that way too. Actually, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny that you
And
say that.
and there's 2 games left in that, and you have the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. How these next 2 games go? All right, now let's sit down and say, okay, maybe there was an anomaly there, and we understand what it means for these players against that system. Something isn't good enough. How can Zimmer help them get over the hump against that scheme? And you're going to get opportunities on it moving down the line here for sure.
Yeah.
Playing against that scheme. We got the Niners, for instance, and where that is. So I'm not panicked yet. Yeah, it was bad. No ifs, ands, or buts. Reminiscent of Dontario Poe being here, if you will, and how that was and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not ready to get over it yet. But I do think defensive tackle, I don't know if they're going to have the answer here. And we don't. It goes back to, we talked about this last year with different guys, Lando. I don't need them to be Chris Jones. I don't need you to be the Dexter Lawrence. I don't need you to be those guys. I just need you in this scheme. Don't get washed.
Just don't move. Yeah.
Don't move. I don't need you to go get sacks or anything. Just get right here and don't move. That's all I need you to do. Yep. And can we find that is going to be the question moving forward that will be inherently keen-eyed looking at it.
Completely agree. Okay. So turn the page again. I want to quick, and Nix, feel free to let me know if you got to get rolling. You've already been more than gracious with your time. You let me know, man, and I'll get you up out of here, and then we'll wrap it up.
Got you, brother. For sure.
As long as you're willing to bless us, brother, you are more than welcome. Real quick, I want to explain, while there's 464 people now up in here. Please, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Let's Cowboys fans know where to come and find content like this. Okay, that's how they find us. All right, and the subscribe button. I feel so. This is kind of a misconception, especially amongst the older demographics of Cowboys fans or just YouTube consumers in general. It's like they're so used to the old school terminology of what the word subscription means, and they think they actually have to pay something. But really, this content is completely free to you. All you have to do is just click the button, and then that's it. It's a wrap. So the subscription requires no extra effort, requires no financial service whatsoever. It's just a free, and it does us the biggest favor possible, man. And it continues to build this community that is ever growing. Okay, 32,000, I think, followers on TikTok right now, 14 some odd thousand on Twitter. No reason for me to be chilling at 4,000 on YouTube right now. And I know that's partially on me. We've got to continue doing the work and building up this thing and bringing on brilliant people like my guy right here, your guy, Nix himself. So y'all, that's where you can find me. And that's the best way to connect and communicate with me. If you have any other questions, I'll do the best I can to try to go out of my way to make sure that everybody is understanding, because that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the truth, because a lot of times nowadays, Nix, is a hot take society we live in. It's difficult to find that, sift through what's real and what's not. Okay, I'm trying to get the truth. I'm trying to convey it to the fans who deserve it. Okay, that's the goal here. It's the Lando Show. We are live, and we are bringing you the sports below the surface. That's what we do. So, Wanye Thomas, I just wanted to mention him, given some of the things that cost the Cowboys in a big way this past week. If you search the Lando Show on Twitter and then follow that with Wanye, you can probably find enough tweets to fill up at least 1.5 hands, maybe 2 total, of me just being like, look, what else do we got to say or see to get this guy on the field more often? He's returning kicks for some
I
odd.
know, dude, we were heavy on that last year, right? In the
You
first 3
were.
or 4 games, we were like, hey, anytime when he's out there, good things are happening. So let's do more of that. But yeah, it didn't
I
come to
know Wanye
fruition,
Thomas can play
unfortunately.
in space. I know
Mhm,
that for a fact. I've seen it. He can cover. He has the
mhm.
instincts. He's always in the right position. I've seen him, PBUs,
Yep.
takeaways.
Mhm,
Wanye finds the football, and
mhm.
he doesn't just find it. He a lot of times beats it to the spot because the instincts are there.
Let's rewind that real quick, though, because you
Donovan
said something
Wilson.
too I find interesting. And I know they talk about him when he returned at Georgia Tech. Why
Mhm.
would you not have
I
Deuce Vaughn back there
I
instead
don't
of him?
know. I don't know. I mean, I wish I knew the answer to that question. I'm sitting there, I'm like,
I mean, I guess Wanya would be a better blocker for Turpin if the ball goes to him, right? But I don't know. That was a head scratcher for me.
yeah, so I mean, I guess credit the Saints for kicking it to him. Like what do you think's gonna
Yeah,
happen? They're gonna the
right,
kickers.
right.
There have
Turpin,
been
no,
two
kick it
missed.
to 30. Yeah, kick it over
Yeah.
to
Do
30.
you see the stat? Just to give an example of, and I know it's a
Hmm.
completely different task on the field, but it's
Right.
kicking. Okay,
Hmm.
kickers this year I think are 30 for 32 on 50 any field goal 50 yards or more. There's only been 2 misses all year. It's been from the same guy, Justin Tucker of all
Yeah,
people, greatest
which is
football.
crazy, right? Which
Right.
is insane. It's
Makes
Tucker
no sense.
missing those. Yeah, no, big facts. So,
But Wanye Thomas, guys, the reason why we're bringing his name up, he is the lesser compensated of the two strong safeties on the depth chart.
mm,
I don't want to, Mike Zimmer, he's already shown us the level of hard-nosed toughness that he's willing to bring to the table here. That if
mm,
levels of expectations aren't adequately met,
mm.
we'll smell you. Okay. I'm going to be watching closely if politics are playing a role here. And politics meaning what is the salary? What do the books say? How much money are
Mhm.
you bringing in? And I ain't want to talk about another man's money, but if this type of thing continues to happen with Donovan Wilson just not showing the ability to play instinctually in coverage, it better be Wanye Thomas time.
What'd you think about Wilson's play in the Cleveland game?
To me, I was so frustrated with the way that the offense played in the second half. That was kind of
Mhm,
where the majority of my focus was. He obviously didn't jump out. He didn't stand out to me, but that's mostly because the pass rush didn't really give Deshaun Watson a chance to exploit that part of the defense.
mhm.
So I don't know. Do you have thoughts there?
I think he played adequate.
Okay.
You know,
In
I think he
coverage,
laid
you're
the
saying?
wood. Yeah, coverage wise, I think he laid some good hits out there as well too. Obviously, everyone's going to look at how he got split, him and Hooker. Maybe got caught looking underneath, unfortunately,
Yep.
and that allowed him to get over the back of him over the top. I think overall in the Saints game, sure, would you like him maybe to fly down a little bit more in certain areas versus the run? Maybe so. I could see some of that. But
I ain't even necessarily saying in the run game. I know what he
yeah,
does in the
but I,
box.
but I need him to do that some more too after the Saints game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
That's just where
that's
I'm
fair.
at. You
That's
know.
why I said it was a
Uh,
choice, man. Those
yeah.
guys, you could tell they were defeated. And one of the concerns that I had in my preview, the reel that I posted,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trey
But
Diggs, he's talking about openly to the media about how
mhm,
annoying it is to play these types of schemes. And
mhm,
why is that? I've broken that down too. If for those who are unfamiliar,
mhm,
condensed formations, bunch sets at the receiver position, misdirection and motion. So it's a lot of
mhm,
this horizontal stuff going on. Okay.
mhm,
When everybody, all 22 on the field are bunched up closer, that's what I mean by condensed formation. The receiver splits are just close to the tackle box. Okay. There's things happen quicker because you can't really process. You don't have the bird's eye view, for lack of a better term, to really see things unwind
right.
and uncoil. And the biggest one, though, why a guy like Trey Diggs would say those offenses are annoying as hell is because of the traffic that's caused when everybody is tightly condensed and all the motion that's going on. Trey Diggs is having to bob and weave, wind his way through his own friendly fire before even having a chance to worry about tracking a receiver. And sticking to a guy. So that's why. But all that stuff, right? We're just talking about Dono playing in the box and things like that. So yeah, I want Donald coming downhill. I don't necessarily want him navigating traffic or even in a too high, right? We can see him easily lose sight instinctually of a player or a position where he's supposed to get to a spot, and we pay the price for it just because that's just not his game, right? So I don't care how much money he's making. Let's not ask him to be one of the too high safety. Let's let Wanye do that. Now against a team like the Ravens, when it's track and it's like fly to the football and hit, this is a Dono game, right? They don't necessarily want to stand in the pocket all day and carve you up deep in your secondary. It's going to be a different approach, right? You alluded to that earlier, but I don't know, man. There's just some things to me that are just very simple where I question the methodology as to why, and I hate to put the P word out there, but I feel like it's a fair question at this point.
I think also too, just in general, and going on this base package stuff, right? And the base package talks about, it's Damone Clark instead of Overshawn.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons. And I'm like, I don't know how that works out for you. Here's the other thing about base package though, that I never heard anybody talk about. And this is the thing that we've talked about in general when it comes to Micah Parsons. Why on base package Micah just has to be a defensive end now? But what dictates that? Why is he not getting off ball looks and stuff? You see how things are happening against the run. We've understand time and time again, if he just sits at edge for a long period of time and they know where he is, he's going to get worn out. He's going to get chipped. He's going to have a bunch of things. There were times he was triple teamed in the Saints game. So in your base package, I understand it's not the 4-2-5 and other things and double muck that you want to do. So here's an idea. I don't know. It's crazy. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Hey, you going to get me off on a tangent. This is my favorite topic right now.
In your base package, you don't have to do this every single time, right? But you're going to have two different defensive ends here, right? And then instead of having Maurice Leofau and Clark, on either side of Kendricks, you can have Overshawn and Parsons to each side of Kendricks in your base formation. I should have thrown that out there and seen what happened. I'm just saying. Again, the idea is you understand that you can't just leave Micah on edge all the time. And you saw it week one and what he did and how he operated and all those different things. That's because, look, he caused an interception, right? He also caused a sack for Kendricks by coming off, jumping out there, getting underneath the tight end. He makes him clutch. Boom, he gets it. You just saw him affect the game in so many different ways. Then we got to this game. Okay, now we're going to be in base formation. Cool, but now we're just regulating him to edge. I'm sorry, Overshawn, you can't come in the game no more, even though you were one of the top. I mean, could have been said he was the best player on the field last week, but he's up there for sure as far as defense goes, against the Browns. So why would we get away from that? Now, that's something where we talk about scheme. That's one of the few things where I'm like, I didn't like that from Zimmer, from the personnel grouping somewhat when it came into the base formation. Doesn't take away from you still got a job to do, though, as well, right?
Correct.
And that's just a personnel thing. That's not a scheme thing. See what I'm saying? Think of what I'm putting down here, ladies and gentlemen. Personnel and scheming he's talking about personnel as well, too, when it comes to Dono and Wanye. We're talking about personnel things. That's not scheme. It's personnel, two separate things there. And there's some of the things within that scheme that they were running on Sunday. We would like to see some different personnel out there.
I don't care what side of the Okay, so real quick, you brought up such a great point, and I will preface what I'm about to say and what I'm about to show with, I think is a fair question. How injured was Marshawn Kneeland, and did that potentially contribute to Micah wrongfully being entrenched at edge again in this game?
Coming off the calf, understandable for him. But then I'm using Chauncey Golston.
The only reason why I didn't lead the show with that, because I think that to me that makes some sense. How healthy?
Here's the other thing. Yeah. Put all three defensive tackles out there. They're getting washed anyways. Maybe one of the edge won't get washed.
Yeah.
Let's just go real big.
That's fair. We'll just have I actually don't hate that moving forward against some of these Shanahan type teams. I mean, if it's because
Just keep it clean.
You can't do what you've been doing against them. It's not going to work. There's enough of a sample size now to know that. Okay, so the Micah off-ball discussion. To me, this is it's pretty vanilla. It's not a strong. There's no gray area here, and it's not. There's no question. It is not a debate anymore. When he's 240 pounds, when you put Micah at edge and you leave him there, he's entrenched at that position. Teams can take him completely out of the game by either
running away from him,
chip,
double team, chip.
It is deliberate and it is intentional and it does not work. That is not Micah's game. Okay, I've talked about this, and you can see this is an old video that I made last year. So this is how long you and I have been talking about this here, Nick. And it actually even predates that. Okay. His two superpowers. Say it with me, chat. Rushing the quarterback and pursuing ball carriers unimpeded from the middle of the football field. When you allow him to do that, like Mike Zimmer did in week 1, Micah becomes like Thanos.
Right.
And I have that drop on this soundboard here, this audio mixer, for that reason alone, because I used the same thing in that video at the very end of it. When he becomes inevitable, you can't scheme him out of the game. You can't chip him all day long, having shoulder pads and elbows and helmets go into his rib cage while he's taking on, trying to shed blocks from offensive tackles. Okay. And here's the other thing. Micah Parsons had a ton of success pressuring and sacking the quarterback last year through A and B gap between the tackles, blitzing. Did you know, Nix, that you can actually rush the quarterback if you're not on the edge of the line of scrimmage? Did you know that?
What? That's illegal, right? It's illegal formation defense, right?
So anyway,
yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all see it? I'm not going to waste our time.
Man, I've been waiting to do
a lot of things on this show here.
Wasting
your time is not one of them that we intend on doing. You see it? It's on your screen. Set your reminder, screenshot it, whatever you got to do. Go watch it. You don't even have to like it. I don't care. Just go watch it. If you have not seen that video, do yourself a favor. And next time you hear somebody talk about that, you send it to them and you say, please have a seat, sir, respectfully. Okay. Sadiqa gets it. I know she does. And I know most other people who are in here do too, right? Because most of them probably wouldn't be in here if they didn't agree. You know what I'm saying? So we all see eye to eye there on that front. There was a question earlier. I just wanted to get your thoughts real quick. Next, and we're going to get out of here.
Sure.
The Trey Lance trade.
I mean, who else to?
Yeah. I don't know if we meant to acquire him. Like, what are our thoughts on the actual acquisition? Or what?
Do you think he would be open to play some running back? It's pretty fast.
Ooh, hey, they don't want to talk about that though. I'm the bad guy when I say that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean,
they don't like me saying that.
He ran the ball pretty well during preseason. I mean, does he want to get on the field? Does he want to say be an emergency quarterback? Give him the Taysom Hill role a little bit, right? Now you don't want him to go block or nothing, but I'm just saying he's going to play running back. But I mean, ultimately for Trey Lance, I just don't know a team that's going to be. Look, they know where the Cowboys are, right? He's not going to get re-signed, right? So why are they going to trade to acquire him? I mean, he's not going to come in and save your season or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, if the Cowboys get something for him, I'd be pro that for sure. Absolutely. I think get something before he just walks out of the door and you look for wherever the comp formula might come into play. Yeah. Be more than happy to do something like that. I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I'm partial to him, once again, predating his time in Dallas, because he does have two superhuman tools. He really does. Athleticism with the ability to use his legs. Okay. It is Lamar Jackson-esque. Different type of agility, I would say. Obviously, Trey is a little bit more physically imposing, a little bit more straight line. Lamar has got a little bit more dance to him for sure.
A little wiggle. Yeah, a little more
more
wiggle for sure.
A little make you miss in the phone booth. That's not necessarily Trey. He's more of an outside zone scheme type of dude, a one cut and downhill. You know what I'm saying? But on top of that, he's making $5 million. You might as well see what you can do. Try to, because, and then still, once again, it's early. And we saw positive signs, bringing motion, marrying the running game to the passing game, play action, Dak under center. Okay. Give your running back a head of steam. He's not having the football from a standstill, standing flat. That's what happens when you bring Dak in the gun. That's why Derrick Henry doesn't run the football from the gun. He'll never run the football from the gun. You'll see it on Sunday. It's a head of steam mentality, okay, which plays off of the physicality that we've been calling for, especially with what they have up front. Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe. Those dudes can be nasty. I know that they can, and we've seen it. So marry the run game to the passing game. Make things easier for your quarterback when you do that, and make things more difficult, probably more importantly, more difficult for the defense.
Right.
That way they can't look at tendencies and know that whenever the Cowboys are stagnant before the ball is snapped, which you really shouldn't be in a lot of cases now anyways. But hey, when they ain't moving before the ball or at the snap, then it's a run. So we're just going to crash downhill. We're going 7 car wrecks up front. Zeke, good luck to you, brother.
You know what else is kind of crazy though? There were some loaded boxes in Cleveland. There went a lot of loaded boxes against the Saints, and we still couldn't run the ball. It's troublesome. Yep. That's troublesome for me. And here's the thing. We've got a year and 2 games now of the Schottenheimer-Solari combo package for the run game. It ain't working.
Doesn't work.
And I think what's maddening and should be maddening for everybody in the building is you have 2 all-pro guards. And I think we all believe that we have upgraded the power at center from where Biotish was.
No question in my mind. No doubt about it.
And we can't get no push, or we can't get things cleaned up. We can't get anything done against a light box. Heavy boxes are heavy boxes, right? You got to figure things out, right? So on and so forth. They wasn't heavy, though. They wasn't heavy in the Saints game. Yep. And we still struggled and couldn't get things rolling. So as much as, and rightfully so, I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about these defensive tackles and the defense and what happened, for sure. But I think everyone keeps talking about the offense a little bit, and I don't want to say a little bit, but we need a running back. We need a running back. Ladies and gentlemen, the running back ain't gonna matter.
It does not solve the problems.
Because you had Tony Pollard in this game last year, right? You still had the 2 all-pro guards. I'm center, whatever. I got it. There was a Tyron Smith out there to the left, though, right? Mm-hmm. And he couldn't get off. Now he's over there in Tennessee. Looks to be pretty good. Getting touchdown runs, 25-plus yards out, whatever the case may be. It's the scheme, y'all.
I think he already has more explosive runs this year than he did all of last season. Does he not?
I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me. I haven't looked it up, but it wouldn't surprise me. But it's the scheme. I'm sorry, it's the scheme. Mm-hmm. They're not. The scheme has not come to fruition. It just hasn't.
It's why Jordan Mason looks like the best running back in football when he gets time in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. It's why people even know who Elijah Mitchell is, the fantasy community. It's why people even know who Jeff Wilson Jr. is. Mm-hmm. It's why people know who Raheem Mostert is. Mm-hmm. Because players that play in that system have success. This team doesn't. That's why I told people. I think it was Cowboys Fan Talk. My guy Rome, loved that dude. He was advocating for some change. Like, hey, if we can't run the ball, let's get Dalvin Cook up in here, see what happens. And I agree with that thought process, right? And it's the same thing of what I'm tweeting right here. I know a guy who could help the Cowboys run the football. The dude right there on the screen, Trey Lance. Okay, it's the underlying sentiment between the both of us where we agree is that it's got to change, but where we disagree is how it gets solved. Dalvin Cook does not solve anything for you.
Nope. You know what else? Too?
If 6 guys fail to succeed in your system, then it's not.
You know what the answer?
It's the how.
that part.
Well, now.
And you know what? And their answer basically to run the ball outside is it's going to be everybody but the running backs. We're going to
Yeah.
give the ball consistently to the wide receivers on end arounds or reverses, and that's our. We want to run the ball outside. That's what we're going to do. Running backs, you're just going to be in between the tackles, and I'm fed up with Shanahan, excuse me, Schottenheimer's run scheme. Look, I gave it right because I mean to be clear for those who don't understand, go back to Seattle. Him and Sly were in Seattle for a couple of years back in was that 19 through
18,
21, 18, 19, yeah. So it's a inside trap kind of pulling of the guards, in those realms, and it just hasn't come to fruition here. And you swapped out the pieces, right? And what we talked about, or at least what I talked about heavily, the two number one things for the Cowboys coming into this season, right, was be able to run the ball better and be able to stop the run. That was their two big things, right?
That's it.
And I said, here's how the Cowboys answered them. It's all I can tell Cowboys Nation. This is how they chose to answer them. They got Mike Zimmer because his personnel packaging stuff should be better against the run. Then on the offensive side, what they said was, we're going to get stronger at center because that wasn't good enough. And we're going to get a young athletic left tackle as well. We're
Yep.
answering that with, we're going to go with better blocking, and we'll have a committee. It'll be better. Now we get to judge that. Those are the answers they gave us, right? We can ask the questions, and they'll give you the answers without giving you the answers. But those are the answers they gave us. And guess what? Week one, okay enough, right? Okay enough. I think defensively very good. Obviously, what Zeke ended up with 10 carries for 40 yards, right? They hovered around 100 yards for the entire team. Week two, a resounding F on that test on both sides. Either side you want to look at, it's a resounding F on that test. So, yeah, I mean, we'll get some more info, more data, right, this week against the Ravens, and we'll dissect it and look at it. But those are the questions that we had to ask and for it to get better. Because you did ask the question, and rightfully so, can they fix the defense tackle situation in-house? We both agree. Not sure on that. We might have to go get something, trade something, flip something, get over it, which I ran a poll on Twitter as well. 46% of Cowboys Nation enrolled with that answer as defensive tackle as well. But see, now, conversely, on the offensive side, I don't think you have to go outside the building to fix it. From the run game, that is. I don't think you have to.
Like I said, it's a switch.
It's just a flip switch. Go to a power scheme. Yeah, go to a power scheme. Go outside zone, right? Because once they did get Tony Pollard going, all of a sudden they did try to go to the outside zone a little bit more, and you got some better results. So from the run game, from the offensive side, flip a switch. Absolutely.
So, you and I can, because this is what we do, man. We could talk about this stuff all night. We could literally.
Oh yeah, I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah. So you see it on the ticker at the bottom of your screen at @your_guy_nix on Twitter, the king of the spaces. That's where I first figured out who you were. You were the first person, and anybody that I followed. Twitter recommended me. It was a space being hosted by none other than you, the king, the man himself, YourGuyNix on Twitter, man. So
appreciate it, man.
You're doing great work as always. Literally, sometimes I don't even know how you do it. Like, you never stop. It seems like you are just always in there.
I'm a grinder. I'm just a grinder. I'm not really talented, right? Here's the thing. I give all the effort.
No country club. Let's get it clear.
No country club here. Yeah, no country club. I'm not high on talent, but boy, I'll grind. That's what it is for me. The talent ain't very high, but I'm always chopping wood.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to what it would say. I know borrowed it from a golfer. Oh, the secret's in the dirt, right? That's where it is.
Brick by brick, baby.
There it is, baby.
Yeah. Is there
hour by hour.
Any parting thoughts from you, or any topics that we missed? Chat, let us know what I feel like there's probably we get lost in the sauce, man. There's so much going on, so much knowledge.
I mean, I'll say, look, how about this? Like, let's we a lot of upsettedness. Okay, I'll give him some flowers though, right? Look, how about Schoonmaker? Good game from Schoon, man.
Sure, yeah,
awesome to see him walk through that. The one-handed catch, even everything thrown his way, he caught well. I think he blocked adequately enough. So check mark for Schoon. They'll give a check mark for Schoon. I know Tolbert fought. I know people are indifferent when it comes to Tolbert.
Yeah.
Huge catch. Obviously, should have been pass interference. He makes the catch. I know you want to go attack that ball. I want to go attack that ball. He makes that catch too. 6 for 82. There's some things coming there from him. I think the biggest thing is we need to see Flournoy come up, and I think Brooks maybe has to sit for a game, and we kind of go from there. And I know the defense, because I'm going to say something about defense, and was like, they're trash, but listen to me. Just listen. Maurice Leofow, he's going to be a player.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem.
As he figures this thing out, and boy, I'm so glad he has Kendricks over there. That guy's going to be a player. You can see it already. That trigger. We talked about this a lot last year about Clark, and he sees it. We can see on the tape, like he sees it. You got to pull the trigger. I just need Maurice to see it a little bit more before he pulls the trigger. He's instant. I'm pulling the trigger, and you're going to get this work. And I absolutely love that about him.
Yep. And
so a couple of highlights
on that just a little bit.
And Brandon Aubrey, of course, right? Brandon Aubrey. I mean, if you got him on, your fantasy football, you're probably undefeated. I mean, he's outscoring everybody. My goodness.
Yeah, he seems like, he's automatic once you cross the 50. It feels like, dude, it's that's a weapon, and it's wild. I mean, it's kind of the same sentiment. Most teams, there's a lot of teams right now that feel the same exact way about the kicker position. But you made a great point earlier too, talking about just the continuity and being in sync, because the offense, there's choreography that's happening, right? That's why. Especially now, there's only 3 preseason games, and more players are playing less and less time in the preseason. So you're going to see a little bit of that's true. That's right. And so the slow starts are not going to go away. It shouldn't be surprising to you. They're not new, and they're here to stay. That's why I don't necessarily worry about the offense. As many deficiencies as they do have, the quarterback does have the ability to mask a lot of that stuff. So it's just a testament to who he is, the leadership. But there are so many things that this team offensively can do a lot better that would make life a lot easier on him, and it would change the stigma about his postseason performance, just because of the things that you can't do to take teams out of.
Right.
You got to be able to run teams out of their shells, their shell coverages. Otherwise, you can't help your quarterback out. So,
which is interesting because sports underneath the surface, right?
Yeah.
Hey man, there's a trend. The real quick, I'll read my final thing here. Or we'll keep going forever. Here's the thing. There's a trend in the NFL right now the first 2 weeks. It's the most running versus pass we've seen in a very long time in this league.
Yes.
Awful intriguing stuff there.
Ebbs and flows, man. You said that earlier at the top of thing when I introed you. It's ebbs and flows. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we'll see. We saw it after week 1. Now week 2's came and went. We're kind of seeing it again. Like, how long is this trend going to keep kind of flowing here? Because we're kind of getting to where teams are like, this single high safety stuff, y'all don't no. Underneath, you better figure it out. We ain't gonna you ain't gonna get it over the top like that. Yep. So we'll wait and see how that goes. But again, little intriguing there. And of course, it comes at a time where as good as we ran the ball in the past, here we are. Can we get this run game going? Oh, peanut butter, no jelly, Kool-Aid, no sugar, ham, no burger. Dadgummit.
Man, it's totes coming from Lipke is actually an interesting question, because I kind of been expecting to see a little bit of that, but it hadn't happened yet. So I don't know. If not now,
free the Tatanka, the Bison. Free the Tatanka, man.
Yeah, that's some fun college tape right there if I've ever seen it, man. He's a do-it-all player, and perspective is everything, right? Because when I thought of Hunter Lipke before going to the open practice a few weeks ago, like the week before the season began, I kind of thought of him in the same light, as far as just a physicality, just a body frame standpoint as Zeke. Man, it's tough, like to see a guy in this league that's a ball carrier, right? To make Zeke look little.
Yeah.
kind of wild, but that's exactly what you get when you look at Zeke standing next to number 40 out there. So, yeah, our version of Kyle Juszczyk, I know that's the low-hanging fruit talking point that everybody likes to mention. And, yeah, it sounds fantastic. But until we see it, it's all just, once again, hopelessly optimistic, right? Mike McCarthy has not shown me anything as far as being able to adapt his system. We went away from it after the bye week last year, and it was, hey, Dak, save
Put that cape on. Yes, please.
I'm letting go of the reins. This is your show. The archaic things can't continue to happen for this team. Otherwise, we're going to be another meme again this season. So, you have old school guys at the top overseeing this offense. Mike Solari, Brian Schottenheimer, even he's a younger relative to the other two, the two Mikes. But
I mean, how crazy that Solari was a coach for the Cowboys in the 80s for Landry.
That tells you all you need to know right there, ladies and gentlemen. So, that's all I got. We're going to be back here. So the plan is for right now, Friday night, to unpack this Ravens matchup. And I'm not going to say exactly who, but I will have another special guest for y'all on Friday to help me unpack that and to just take it all in, right? And tell it like it is. Tell the truth and unpack this thing and get ready. But I know I'll leave with this. The two things, or I guess the one thing that I know to be true from the two football games that we've witnessed so far, the truth usually is somewhere in the middle. And I think that's for right now, at least, that's the case with this Cowboys team.
You're never as good as you think you are.
Yeah.
You're never as bad as you think you are. That's just kind of the ties that bind. I'm right there with you, brother.
That's it. So with that, we'll sign off the way that we always do. Y'all know where to go to find me. I'm at The Lando Show on all socials. If you do want to support the channel, I actually had that up a second ago. There's multiple means to doing so now. We are officially on the part of the YouTube partnership program here. So I think the super chat feature should be unlocked by now. If it's not, then that's my fault. There's probably something that I have to do to unlock that for the chat. So I apologize there, but the QR code at the top of your screen, that is the official, that's the 4K fund for the Lando Show to help me get a new camera here. And then my Venmo, if that's the easiest way to do it, it's listed there, and Cash App the same way, man. I'm working hard for y'all. I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad, father of two. I used to play professional baseball. The good Lord called me to something new and something different. And I know that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And, so I'm a dad first. When my girls sleep, that's when I get to work. So that's right now. They're snoozing safe and sound in the other room right across the hallway. But this is what I do. This is who I am. This is all I know. And this is the only thing that I'm going to continue doing outside of the aforementioned there. So much like Thanos as well, y'all heard the drop earlier, in this space, because I'm taking the passion that God gave me and I'm applying the lessons that life and baseball taught me. And I'm just I know that now it's me versus myself. And there's 550 people in here. Every single one of you has something that you're probably struggling with right now or internalizing some hardships, right? Whether it's self-inflicted, whether it's sickness in the family, death in the family, lost your job, girlfriend broke up with you, child pain, whatever that is, because I cannot imagine. They say that I've always heard that child pain is the worst pain. Every single one of us in here right now that has something that most people, if not all, do have no idea. They're completely unaware of. But whatever it is, this is how I'm signing off now, because I firmly believe it. I am I am as imperfect as they come, as a Christian, as a man of faith on this earth. All right. But that's precisely the point. It's that Bible doesn't call us to be perfect. Okay. We were given that gift, the gift of eternal life. All right. So my whole thing was I felt this immense amount of pressure as a dad. I want to be the best dad I can possibly be the best husband I can possibly be, stay in shape for my kids, for my girls, just to set a good example for them. And I want to be the best sports media content producer. And I want to, I'm building a golf business as well on the side. Like, man, I almost reached that breaking point, and things got hard. It was just like, I am human. I cannot wear all these hats and continue to do it. So the long story short version of what I'm trying to say is I just finally got to a point. I accepted how far, how astray I drifted afloat away from what really matters, man. And it's so easy to do in a microwave, fast-paced society that we live in now. There's so many distractions. But I gave it all to God, man. And I started just praying. I'm like, God, just take it. It's in your hands now. That's it. My problems are nothing. They pale in comparison to what you have already been through. So look, take them. Jesus, take the wheel. Literally, that's been my prayer. I'm like, God, use me as a beacon, but help me just to seek ye first the kingdom, and just to understand, help, just have that compassion, because that's one thing that he blessed me with is I feel things, I feel emotions, and I feel pain, people's pain more than most, I feel like. And so I just want, if you haven't heard this in a long time, man, you're put on this earth for a reason. You got a gift. You just got to figure out what that is. But if you don't know what that is, man, let the good Lord have it, and he'll take care of you. And I've seen not miracles at all, but there's been a weight lifted off my shoulders since I've been more deliberate and trying to reel it back in a little bit. Quit being so led astray, so focused on yourself, selfishly focused on me and all the things that selfish desires, right? Things that I want to accomplish in this life or whatever. But it's just amazing what happens. So as I always say, prayer changes things, man. Let go and let God have it. Okay. The war is already won. And with that, I'll talk to you guys soon. Nix, thank you for being here, brother. And we'll reconvene. We'll be doing this again. Thanks for being here.
For sure.
Love you guys. Thank y'all.
Peace.